Hey, oh, I'm live. Hey, Alexa, stop playing music. Good evening, everyone. Come on in, come on in. It's so good to see you all this evening. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Reflections. How are you this evening? So, I am going to queue up Facebook, make sure that we are good on Facebook. And I'm hoping that everyone is doing well this evening. Please come on in and like and share. And let me make a post on Facebook. Good morning. Good evening. Hello there. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Anybody there tonight? I saw some hearts, or did I heart myself? Hey, Regina, it's so good. I'm glad you're here. Good evening. Good evening. Well, I have an interesting topic tonight. So come on in here and let's talk. Let's talk as a community. Okay, let's talk as a community. So, I made a post on Facebook, so I know that you're here. If anyone's out there on YouTube, if you go ahead and make a post, that'd be great. But good evening. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Reflections. I'm Naita, and I am here because reflection is a part of my Fight to Smile brand. Can you see that, or you need to see it on this side? A part of my Fight to Smile brand, and it's a campaign to empower women to stand strong, hold your head up, and despite the obstacles, the challenges, the fears, the failures, you still hold your head up and you keep smiling despite the tears. So welcome, come on in. I am so glad you're here this evening. I have a little bit of like sore throat going on right now. Head is pounding, but I want to talk about this topic before I go to bed tonight. So I have my hot tea and I have some lemon in it. So trying to do all the homeopathic things to take care of this. I really, I really think it's just my sinuses that are, acting up. And I had a pair of glasses. Here they are. So good evening again. I'm so glad you're here. Look, I'm here tonight to talk about. Have you seen that new Netflix series? And I'm gonna keep it calm because it's a passionate topic for me. But have you seen that new Netflix series by Colin Kaepernick called Black and White? If you haven't, please check it out. Check it out. Check it out. And it's a six-part series, 30 minutes each. And it is just, I thought it was really, really a excellent docu movie kind of things because he narrates and he gives some historical perspectives and context for the various subjects that he's talking about in each episode that kind of gives a chronological order of his succession to the NFL. So I thought it was well done. I thought it was really good. But apparently, in that first episode, when he gave his opinion that the NFL was like a modern day slavery. Apparently, that caused a lot of upset amongst some people. And I want to talk about that tonight. I really do. I want to talk about that. So I hope some people join into the discussion. Come on in and drop in comments as things come up. But I kind of I understand what he was saying. I do. And let me start first by just saying that I'm not someone that doesn't know absolute anything about sports or about the system because that's far from the truth. As a parent and bonus parent of three students, and I'm so grateful for three D1 Division 1 college athletes who have all graduated, and I called the last one graduated because she graduates in May. But to have three students go through the whole system and play D1 sports, and one to even make it into the NFL. I think that I have a little bit of experience and inside perspective to that whole process. So, with that being said, I understand what he was saying when he said that the NFL is like a modern day slavery. However, However, I think we got to kind of take it in context. So we got to look at it a little bit differently. So when you talk about slavery as being an economic system wherein individuals were used for their talents, they were used to make another individual rich or richer. When they were used and then discarded when they were no longer of use, then of course now I kind of you can see I can see exactly where he was coming from. However, when you talk about the NFL, those are the ones who actually made it, and there were so many millions that don't make it, and it's that pipeline, those who were lost in that pipeline. I think that's where the issue is. And to me, I think him highlighting that as opposed to just the NFL would have made a better statement. But nevertheless, I understand where he's coming from. So, look, that's what I want to talk about tonight. So, please, if you have friends, and this is not supposed to be education, this is just me talking. This is just Naita, the mama of athletes, the mama who worked and is still working, and have my own side thing going, the career minded woman. This is just me talking. And I'm hoping that that we can share, we can have some open conversation and just discuss this whole topic. And especially if you are a parent, if you are a coach, if you're a teacher, if you are a grandparent or a family member who is supporting some kids along the way, look, this is the episode. Come on in. Let's talk about it, okay? Let's talk about it. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to Reflections. I'm so glad I finally got the video playing again. So I did. I want to talk about, that whole sports system. Tonight, before I even jump into the conversation, I want to give a huge, gigantic, and a big shout out to my ex husband, the father of our kids. And I had to call him. I did. I had to call him tonight because I was looking at some of the statistics. And when you look at the fact, and let's just deal with football right now. But when you look at football sports, you have 1.1 million high school football players playing in high schools around the nation. And of that number, let me get the exact statistic because I don't want to quote the wrong thing. But of that 1.1 million students who are out there playing sports, playing football, only, I think it was, and now I can't find my statistic, here it is. only 6.5% of them will ever play college ball, and that could be D1, D2, or D3. So 6.5, that's 71,000. So that means that you have 1.1 million playing, but only 71,000 are actually going to go into college sports. And of those that make it into college sports, only 1.2% of them will ever make it to the NFL. You know, and then let's just back it up a little bit more. When you look at each year, some 45 million kids every year play sports. Some, and I'm talking kids from, like kindergarten through 12th grade. Four, 44 point, no, 45 million play sports every year. And of them, 80% are going to quit by the age of 15. 80% are going to quit by the age of 15. So, narrowing it down even more, 1.1 million play football. Of the 1.1 million, 6.5% will actually make it into college sports. And of them, only 1.2 million will actually make it into the NFL. And with all of those cuts along the way, I had to give a shout out because, to have three kids, for us to have three kids that play 3-1 D1, and and all graduate with marketable degrees is amazing. And the one thing that is the common denominator in all the kids' lives is the father. So big, huge shout out to Mr. Herndon, and I had to give him a call and tell him, say, man, you did that thing. So shout out to him. But even with all of that being said, back to the show, Colin Kaepernick show. I thought it was wonderful. It started where they were in his film started where he was showing the Columbine and the process of getting into the NFL. But actually, that whole pipeline started long before then. It started all the way back with Little League. When you have little kids and they're just playing sports for the fun of it. They are just having fun and just learning the sport itself. But have you ever been to little league games? The parents are in the stands going crazy, especially like baseball. Oh my gosh, they are going crazy. The kids are out there having a good time. It's the parents that are out in the stands that are freaking out. And then they go on through middle school. Many will play, little league and go through middle school. And then those that make it to high school go through high school and, in hopes that they make it to college. When you look at all the schools that recruit in high schools, they will pull, a lot of these big private schools will go into inner cities and grab the most talented athletes that they see in the community, and they'll pull them, bring them in, all under the umbrella that, oh, you'll get a good education and you'll get a chance to play sports at this level and go on to college. And then when they get them into the school, many times they are not put in classes that will truly lead to a high school diploma that or will lead to college preparation. And this is part of that system. This is part of that system. And then, so then they use these kids and it's disproportionately African Americans. They use them to build their high school sports programs. Many times, test scores are modified. Um, at some schools, not all, but there are some. And, when kids are passed along, and, then there are some who can actually make it into college or they get into college by some unethical measures. And then they get to college and they're still not academically prepared. And it's just so many, there are just so many things and gaps and holes in that pipeline. And then I know people would say, oh, but athletes in college, they get, people, when I hear people say, oh, you get to go to school for free, when you're an athlete, it is not free. It is not free. Someone else owns your time. But I do know that there are additional resources that are available for college athletes, as far as academics and tutoring is concerned, for some subjects, not all subjects. And then when you look at the amount of time that an athlete has to spend, and anybody can jump in. I see my brother is here. My niece played D1 sports, so he can jump in and he can attest, that the amount of time that they have to commit towards their sports program. And, and they have blocks of times that they cannot take classes. Huge prime class taking times that they have to block off for their sports program. I didn't realize until this evening that one of my sons changed his major twice. I know it was twice, but he had to change his major twice to accommodate his football schedule. And that's serious. So I was looking at some of the data, and it showed that D1 athletes will are graduating at 90%. So 90% of D1 graduates graduate with their degrees. I'm like, okay, that's great on the surface. But I would like them to go a little bit deeper and share, what are these degrees in? Are they marketable? Are they degrees that these athletes can sustain themselves? Because again, only 700 of them are going into the league. Out of 71,000, over 71 of them are going into, and that's just for football. So it's a very small percent that will actually go into a professional sport. So what are these degrees in? If you can only take classes between certain hours of the day, unless you fight for it. And then to fight for it, just a support system you have to know how to fight, so that you can take the classes that you need if you're trying to find, if you're majoring in a major that offers classes outside of the time they're allowing you to go to class. Oh, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Anybody out there? Anybody with me tonight that's watching that has anything? I see you, Butch. You're one of the coaches. You're a coach. Jump into this conversation. Please jump in. So when you look into, when I look at this and I see these kids, and especially those who need that education to change the, the direction of their lives, the direction of their family lives, and they have this gift or this talent with sports, and they're not utilizing the sports to continue their education, there's a disconnect. There's a disservice. There is a disservice. The sports should be used to further the education. It really should, especially when you look at the numbers. 1.1 million students play high school football, but only 700 will make it into the league. Come on, then they should be able to, that gift, that talent that they have for sports should be used to open the door for academics. And if it is open for them, then once it's open, the system should be in place to support them so that they can complete their education in fields that prepare them for success in the workplace, that prepared them to get a job. You realize that 75%, and now I'm put back in my teacher mode now, my educator mode right now, but 75% of the degrees that are awarded in liberal arts colleges go towards degrees that will do nothing to advance a person's career right now. Long term, yes, and they can go on and get master's and graduate degrees, yes, absolutely. But 75% of those undergraduate degrees either require additional education or it does not do anything to advance their career opportunities. 75%. And, a lot of these students are, and well, speaking about athletes, these athletes and parents were pushing kids. And I think we have the cart before the horse. We should be, yeah, the sports is great, but the sports is the vehicle, to complete the education. So let's look at some more of these statistics that I found because I thought it was really, really interesting. Now again, this is I'm just a parent just talking, a parent who has seen a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff. There's a new phenomenon now. Okay, let's talk about this before I talk about that new phenomenon. The chances of wrestling from high school to D1 in the field of wrestling, only 2.7% of students who wrestle in high school will make it to D1. In volleyball, only 3.3%, but if you're a girl, 3.9%. Basketball, 3.5%, but if you're a female, 3.9%. Of the 347 schools in 49 states, let me say that again, of the 347 D1 schools in 49 states, only 8% of high school athletes will ever make it to those schools to play sports. So that's the reality. That is the reality. Now, here's something else that I was talking to someone about earlier this evening, and that is now that year round football, as young as 5 years old, year round football. And I can't help but wonder, have we heard of that thing called CTE? Isn't that thing real? Isn't it real? So why are we pushing kids like that? At 5 years old now, year round football, getting hit, getting knocked down, head bouncing around inside that helmet. What are we doing? What are we doing to our kids? So whose responsibility is it ultimately? Is it the parents? Yeah, of course. Of course it's the parent. But by that same token, I think it's also the schools because when schools are playing ineligible players, when schools are setting up an environment conducive for ineligible players to continue to play, then they're just as guilty as anybody else. They are just as guilty. And I thought somewhere along the line there was some type of educational HIPAA or code of ethics. HIPAA's for, well, I'm thinking about Hippocratic oath, but that's for medicine. But there's a similar, code of ethics for instructors, for educators, administrators. Do kids no harm? And playing ineligible players, hiding their deficiencies, oh well, this is going to be his only way out is for him to play these sports. His only way out was him to learn how to read. His only way out was him to be able to do the basics. I talk to college students all the time, and we talk about, students who have phenomenal sports and artistic abilities, but these students can't even do the basics in the classroom. We all have to be able to do the basics, the very basics. So again, I'm just talking. This is a passion of mine. This is something that is heavy on my heart. Um, Again, I think Colin Kaepernick did a wonderful. I absolutely loved the series. I enjoyed every bit of it, and I didn't realize the backlash and the that people were going to go into when he compared the NFL to the slave trade. But I think the whole system is a part of that mentality. wherein they're still using the talents of young athletes and then many African Americans, and using those talents to build sports programs and to make a lot of money. High schools making a lot of money building their sports programs, and then definitely colleges making millions off the backs of athletes. And when I looked at D1 graduates, 90% of them finished their degrees, but only 53% of the African American athletes finished theirs. And that's because they were ill prepared when they arrived. And that's because high schools set up an environment and a culture that promoted the sports over the academics. And then that came up from middle school, that came up from Little League, and it's just a pipeline. It's a pipeline where we continue to push brawn and muscle and athletic abilities over the mind, over learning, over education. And, and then when you talk about it, someone like Colin Kaepernick talks about it, then all of a sudden it's a problem. No, it's not all of a sudden a problem. It's been a problem. And it's been a problem since slavery. It's been a problem. And it's still a problem. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, where, I don't know what the answer is, except for using that gift and that talent to advance your future, and helping your student athlete use that gift, that talent to advance their future. And they have it's just as important to have that book in their hand as it is to have that ball in their hand. And, back to the kid's father. And I remember one time when the oldest, he was just in middle school, so maybe about the seventh grade, sixth grade, seventh grade. And he was playing Pop Warner ball, and they were in the playoffs. And I'm calling your name. Trey got a C. It wasn't even on his report card. It was like on his progress report. He had a C. Man, you'd have thought that boy failed the whole semester. And his father was livid. He was like, a C on the progress report, and he did not let him play in the playoff. I mean, it was a playoff game, and dang, I wish he was watching tonight. I should have texted him and told him to jump on real quick. And I remember everybody in the family was trying to get his father to let him play, and the coaches was like, "It's a C." Everybody was going in. He was like, "Absolutely not," and he didn't, and until the parents, stand their ground that you will not use my child for their talent. You're not just going to use him up. You're not just going to use her up. She has to get something out of this. Then I guess that whole cycle is going to continue to perpetuate. These sports programs and, the NFL especially, they will use these athletes up. And then as soon as they get hurt, they discard them. Discard them, drop them like dirty toilet paper. Just discard them. And it's ugly. It's unfortunate. It's depressing. It's sad. It's sad. So, I don't know. It's just, I think I have a text come in. Let's see. What is this? Um, oh goodness, but it's just so sad. It really, really is, And then, so again, I think so. Kaepernick, for him to use the NFL as the example, I just think they kind of missed that opportunity. I think they missed that opportunity. I think the whole film was great. All 6 episodes were phenomenal. He talked about the microaggressions that we all experience. Oh, there's one scene you have to see it at the hotel. That darn hotel scene. Whoo! Ooh, that thing had me mad. I was mad. I was throwing red pillows. See them red pillows back there? I was throwing pillows. I was pissed because it just you just have flashbacks. You bring triggers, of your own experiences with microaggressions, and so I think it was all well done. But for that very first example, for him to use the columbine as a form of slavery, I think he could have just taken just a few more minutes and just talked about that whole pipeline. I think it would have been made such a better impact, a much better impact. But anyway, these babies. Let's talk about these babies playing, year-round football. That's too much. That's too much. Come on, parents, that's too much. And like I said, that head rattling around in that helmet year round at age of 5. Come on, come on. Kids are babies, they're still growing, their brains are still developing. So please, please rethink that, parents. Please rethink that. Rethink that. That one's not good. And schools, I challenge you. Come on, do right by these athletes. Do right by them. If your team doesn't win the title, oh well, come on. But your students are succeeding. That's where they're succeeding academically. That's where the real school grades and all that come in. So please, this one is. Someone said I'm being real passionate, so I don't want. Let me stop. Let me stop. I don't want to go overboard. Wait a minute, I have a couple pair of glasses here. Let's see. I see a comment over there. Um, I did. When did I finish, Eddie? I don't remember. I finished some. He said I finished them all. I don't even remember. When did I finish? But nevertheless, hey, it's been a great night, and I cannot believe that this amount of time has passed already. So I guess that's it. That's all that I had to say. Let me see. I think I have one more comment, but yeah, kids are, Colin Kaepernick said that um, he said there's a power dynamic that athletes are poked, prodded, and examined, and they're looking for defects. There are no boundaries, and they strip athletes of their dignity. It's like a slave auction. And then he said kids are groomed for a system, and because they just started, they didn't know they were being groomed for a system. That's what he's saying, and that they're just playing football because they love it, and that's how it should be. They should love the sport, and parents have to be engaged, and coaches coaches have such an incredible voice in the life of an athlete. And it can be good and it can be bad. And I think, coaches are teachers. Coaches are just as important as the academic teacher. They really are, because they teach so much, not just about the sport, but about life, about bouncing back, about getting up after a failure. They teach so much. They have the opportunity to teach so much. And some coaches just drop the ball. They just truly drop the ball. And to just constantly put in front of kids, oh, you can go into the NFL, oh, you can go in the NBA. That is it's so unrealistic. Let's just be real. It's just so unrealistic. There will be a few that make it. That is true. And that is wonderful. Wonderful for them. But for the vast majority, for 98%, for 99% of them, they have to get out there and make a living. be it starting their own business, be it working, going into the military, whatever they choose to do, but they got to get out there and make a living. And they students need to be truly given an opportunity to make something of themselves in the classrooms, make something of themselves as far as developing career skills and work industry skills so that they can be successful. So I'm going to get off that soapbox because I don't want to beat this horse to death. But I'm telling you, Black Colin in Black and White. It was an excellent, excellent film. I enjoyed it, and my light is too bright because I'm over here shining. I look like Casper, but it's all good. Y'all know who I am. But look, I'm Naita, and I'm so glad that you were here this evening. Did I have any comments? Nobody said anything tonight, and I really thought that somebody would have said something about these sports and about these sports programs, but no one said a word. So maybe because you haven't seen the film, so maybe you'll make some comments later, and I hope you do. But again, that whole little league through middle school, through high school, through the NCAA pipeline is flawed. It's flawed. It's unethical on so many levels. And, for those who can get in and get their degree in the field that they want, kudos to you. Kudos to you. And it should be more of you who do that. When I look at the statistics, and 53% of our African American athletes are graduating, while 90% as a whole are graduating, that's a big gap. And that gap needs to be closed up. And the only way we can close that gap is to go back to the high school, go back to middle school, and go all the way back to Little League and Pop Warner and start telling these students that their books are just as important as that ball or that those track shoes or whatever it is, whatever sport it is. We have to work our way backwards and build true scholar athletes. They are student athletes first. So don't let me get started because once this last one graduates, oh, we're all writing a book. Oh, yeah, and leaving no stone unturned. The only reason I haven't called out a bunch of people so far because I never wanted any of the kids to be, them to be retaliated against by coaches. Hello. Stay calm, Nita. Oh, but one day, real soon, when that last one goes on that pumping circumstance and walks across that stage, oh, we write the book, trust. And you all are going to want to read it. It's going to be a good one. So, with that said, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And I will, please like and share. Please, I am always, these shows and everything, there is a cost that is involved, and I cannot find my banner, and there is a cost involved. So if there's, any room in your heart, room in your budget to make a donation, that would be awesome. Awesome. And then, of course, I have my t shirts, and they're somewhere, but not close by. But I have my Fight to Smile t shirt. So you can visit me on my website at www.drnaita.com. So, again, I thank you for joining me tonight. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So, thank you again. I will see you next time.